Star Radio's On the Money with Darlington Building Society.
Darlington Building Society, the heart of the local community.
Once again, on the money, and once again we're joined by our panel at the Darlington Building Society. Colin, CEO, is with me. Hello, Colin.
Yeah, good afternoon.
And also we have Sarah Hawley, who is the Customer Support Manager. Now, we've been talking over the last few weeks or so, Colin, with regards to mortgages and purchasing your house and how you can go about getting your mortgage, and we've gone through that process. I think one of the burning questions out there is what happens next?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I'm sure our customers think that once the mortgage is approved, they've given over their pay slips, they've filled in the application forms, that's the hard work over. Actually, within the Building Society, there's a lot of loose ends to be tied together. And Sarah, that you introduced, Sarah heads up our customer support department. And we have got to pull together a lot of different parties. And sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes there's some challenges. I know, Sarah, that there are the times where you and the team, you're frantically trying to make sure that the customer can get into their dream house at the right time, but sometimes things can go wrong.
Yes, that's right. Obviously, we've got quite a few steps that we take through once that initial offer's agreed. We need to get a valuation in place for the property. Sometimes things don't go according to plan, the valuation doesn't come back as you want. We'll need to liaise with yourselves and the valuers to get those issues resolved.
Yeah, the valuation, I mean, I think we've all got an idea how much our house is worth, or how much the sort of dream home's worth. Sometimes we can be a bit optimistic with those values, and maybe the valuer disagrees or finds something wrong with the house.
Yes, that's true. In those cases, obviously, we'll liaise with the valuer to identify the issues that are sitting there, work through with yourselves to find the best course of action. We can adjust the amount of funds that you borrow. We can look to resolve the issues through with the estate agents and the people that you're purchasing the property from. From there, we can move forward.
Lawyers are very important whenever we are buying a house. Although we'd love to be able to just do it ourselves and sign the forms, the lawyers protect us. What sort of use do we make of the lawyers at Darlington Building Society to protect the customer?
When we're going through the property purchase, we'll issue you an offer document. That document's quite technical. There's a lot of information in there. The lawyer will go through all elements of that with you. There may well be conditions in there that we need you to abide by before we can progress the mortgage. Obviously, anything that you need to come back to ourselves with, you can discuss, but they'll lead you through that process and get those conditions adhered to before we issue funds.
Yeah, very important. I know that, there's a lot of great lawyers in the local area. Personally, when I bought a house recently in Darlington, I was really well supported by Latimer Hinks. You know, the depth that they go into to make sure that you're buying a house that you think you're buying. And then a lot of searches on the water, flood plains, I guess, with recent years' storms. That's become even more important.
It has, along with the water searches, the look along with the council to identify if there's any issues. There may be planning permission coming up in that area that might have an impact on whether you still want to go ahead and purchase those properties. Clearly, again, if there's any issues around water, and that also leads on to potential issues you might have in obtaining insurance on those properties.
Yeah,
I think Colin just touched on it as well, actually, Sarah. But is there a value, shall we say, to making sure that you get a lawyer that is in fact based local, because they're going to know about the area? Is that just a myth, or can you just get a lawyer from London or wherever? What's the advice? Can you advise?
There's certainly a benefit in you having a lawyer that's local to the area. They have an understanding of the area, more in-depth view around the issues, but clearly there's still areas that they would need to investigate, and we do find that our borrowers often take a mix of local and outside areas. We do look to offer protection for the borrowers in there. We have a solicitors panel, so we're looking to see that solicitors that are used are reputable. So that does offer some protection for the borrowers as well.
Got a question you'd like to ask the experts? Ask online at starradio.co.uk.
Still with me are Colin Fife, CEO of DBS, and Sarah, Customer Support Manager. Colin, we're talking about the next step in house buying. We've covered valuations, we've covered legalities, but things don't always go to plan, do they?
I guess one of the sort of nightmare scenarios for us and also for the home buyer is that you're sitting outside somewhere in your big van full of furniture and there's no set of keys in sight. Is that something that you can recognise, Sarah?
Yes, we get those scenarios. We do offer a facility that people can actually draw the funds down the day before they're due to move. There is obviously slight cost of additional interest in there, but at least the funds are available the day before and it helps to make that process smoother.
Yeah, it's the whole chain buying process for house purchase. You are reliant on a number of other people, and if one of those parts of the chain breaks, you can be sitting for a long time. But I think I know that from your team, Sarah, they spend a lot of time on the phone speaking to customers and lawyers, just trying to coordinate everything together so that it's going to work like clockwork.
Yes, we identify with customers when they'd ideally like to move into their properties, and then we'll work through our processes to ensure any conditions, any requirements, paperwork that's needed in. We'll coordinate between the different members of staff in the team to get those funds out on the time and the day that they want them to go out.
Now, I'm sensing here that it's probably easier to buy a new home, because at least then you've not got that chain.
Potentially, but equally there may well be people that are selling the property in the first place, so they are going to be creating a chain with that anyway.
Right. One simple, actually, and very naive question perhaps. New houses, do they require valuations as well?
They do. We still need to have that security. So in all cases we'll obtain a mortgage valuation. It's still looking there. There's actually additional things required for new properties, such as there may well be NHBC certificates. They have the roads been adopted. So in some respects, buying a property that's longer standing, all of those checks have been carried out before.
There's different types of valuation. With the mortgage valuation that Sarah mentioned is fairly straightforward, but the customer can go deeper. They can go for a home buyer's,
yes,
or they can go for a full structural, depending sometimes on the age and the standing of the building.
Okay, I think we might have a separate programme on valuations perhaps in a few more weeks' time. For the meantime, Sarah, thank you very much
Thank you
for popping in. Thank you again, Colin.
Thank you.
And of course, if there's any questions that you've got with regards to your potential moves, buying, mortgages, whatever, you can get in touch via the website at starradio.co.uk.
On the Money with Darlington Building Society, celebrating 160 years on Star Radio.